If I put it in my will that I wanted you guys to use my body in the kill test, would you do it?
We couldn't.
No.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to Radio Labyrinth. This is season 6, episode 18, and we are joined by two really awesome people. We have Garrett Kemble, who was a contestant on Forged in Fire, the show that Radio Labyrinth has become obsessed with, thanks to Steph, and one of the awesome judges from the show, ABS Mastersmith, Jay Neilson. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, guys.
Thanks very much. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
I've been jacked to the max about this. I'm so excited.
Yes, Steph brought this show up, I think, a month and a half ago, maybe less, but definitely a month. And I'm like, oh, I haven't watched anything on history since Ancient Aliens. Let me go see what's on. And I was hooked. I said, I'm going to start on season 6 because there's so many episodes, and then I'll make my way to the new season. Well, it took forever, so I have a DVR full of season 8s. And of course, I watched the most recent episode where Garrett competed, and so that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm really excited, man. I mean, like, Jay, you're a superstar to us, and we love the show. So welcome again. Sorry.
I appreciate that. It's amazing. We were actually just intended to be a filler show. You know, we weren't supposed to be anything big. We were supposed to fill a gap in, the network, and people liked the show. So it just took off.
Yeah.
We're doing 8 seasons right now. I never thought we'd make it 8 seasons. Amazing.
Well, it has such a perfect formula. And the way that you guys throw different challenges out every week, and then the historical blade that you guys pick. I mean, it's always interesting. There's so much history that actually goes with the show, and I learned something on every episode.
Well, it's fun. I mean, we have taught, a lot of different things. We've definitely sparked an interest in knife making. There's a heck of a lot more knife makers now than there were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, people that have been on the show, doing classes, doing demonstrations, stuff like that. I mean, it's just fantastic. I'm excited I was able to be a part of it. But I mean, the biggest thing is the contestants. I mean, just having the cojones to come on the show on not just international television, and show what you can do. I mean, nobody's going to make a perfect knife in 5 hours. Nobody's going to make a perfect weapon in 4 days. But it amazes me constantly, the challenges we give and the timeline, and they just step up. They step up, and the show wouldn't be anything without the contestants. I mean, they're the stars of the show.
No, I love it. There's a lot of reality shows. There's a lot of competitive shows, but when you watch a show with contestants who have heart, and there's joviality coming from the judges, the table, and there's fun coming from their table, but you can see the determination. And when they walk in and they do the introductions, and it's so weird for this to happen to me because I don't watch TV and smile, but I see the people who come in and I smile, and I'm rooting for every single one of them, even if they have like just a giant block of steel that has a lot of meat on it that they could fix with the grinder maybe.
I want to say, proud of you, Garrett, man. You represented. You did great, and you didn't even make a fool of yourself in the little interview part. Sometimes people are a little weird in those, and you seem like,
come on, we make knives for a living. What do you expect?
You came off as a pretty normal person, which was very cool.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm in sales most for real life, so I have to be able to speak.
And you had a tough show
with it, man. He kicked ass. He really did.
Who thought of no clock? That alone, I'd never thought of like, oh crap, that adds a whole nother.
Well, we always tell folks, if you wanted it easy, you should have showed up season 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's just like anything else. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get harder. Oh God, we just finished an episode today. I can't talk about it, obviously, But oh, geez, yeah, Garrett, yeah, it easy, buddy.
That's the other thing I like. I like seeing where the contestants live, and you get to see their home forges and a little bit about, like, I forget the name of the guy you competed against, but I loved it when his dad came in and he's like, "You need some help?"
Davey,
Good
old
yep,
Davey Wilson.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's the only time I see it too. That's the biggest reason I watch the show, because each episode I've already dealt with it for 4 or 5 days or whatever, but I don't get to see the home forge parts until it actually airs on TV. So that's what I'm looking forward to, because I enjoy seeing people's shops, the equipment they have, where they live, how they attack the finale weapon and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a lot of fun for me.
So the one thing that I found out when I was looking at Instagram is that your business, Neilson's Mountain Hollow, is in a town near where you can't see him, but one of our other hosts is in the waiting room. But we're both from Mansfield, Pennsylvania. Grew up. I moved away in 1995, but and have been down here for 25 years. But I miss it up there. So I think it's really awesome. You live in the Endless Mountains, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I do. I get emails on a fairly regular basis saying, "Holy cow, you're in Towanda?"
Yeah.
I grew up in Towanda. I grew up like 10 miles outside of Towanda or something like that. So yeah, it's funny. And that's another thing about the show is, like, before Forge and Fire, it was like, okay, you got some crazy long-haired, mustache, bearded knife maker out in the middle of the woods somewhere. Nobody knows about it. He's just out there doing his thing. And now it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember before, because I've been doing this for my income for over 20 years. And I remember, like, going to social events with my wife, and people are like, there's a guy right next to me. "Hey, what do you do for a living?" "I'm a gunsmith." "Oh, that's so cool." "Hey, what do you do?" "I make knives for a living." And they're like, it's like, excuse me, that son of a bitch can kill you from 2 miles away. I got to be right next to you. Why am I freaking you out? But now it's cool. So
it is cool. Steph?
Yeah, I wanted to know, how many vests does Dave Baker own?
I have no idea. There's totes and totes full of ties and vests, and I don't know. If you guys notice, I'm a simple guy. The only jewelry I wear is my wedding ring. I don't do the bracelets, the necklaces, the cuffs. Give me jeans and a t-shirt. I'm fine. I don't need all that extra crap.
I also wanted to ask Garrett, like, what was it like getting to use Big Blue?
Oh.
So I was initially terrified of it, and people didn't use it that much. And then Davey started using it, and the experience in person is completely different than what you see on TV. That thing shakes the entire room, and it, like, just the sound of it, like, you can feel the percussion in your chest from like 10 feet out.
Yeah.
And he and our forges were right next to each other, and he was the first one to get on it. And it's like being at a rave, It was a whole lot of boom.
Well,
it's funny, Garrett. I don't know if Garrett noticed this, but every time somebody starts using Big Blue, you can see the camera guys and the production. Well, not so much the camera guys, but the production people, the safety people. They all start going. Like they're bopping in rhythm with Big Blue. And it happens almost every episode. It just cracks me up. It's like they don't even know they're doing it anymore.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't see that, but in all reality, I didn't really notice anything other than what I was doing. So
yeah.
I can see that.
I mean, we have tons more questions, and we have some from our listeners. I want to introduce Dustin. He's our other co-host, Dustin Lawler. And
hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Dustin.
But
hey.
When I watched the show for the first time, I was watching it and I'm like, this is cool. They're making knives and swords, and it's really awesome. But I started remembering being a kid, and when I was in 7th grade, and our other host who you can't see, he and I were in 7th grade together. We walk into metal shop. In elementary school, you don't do anything like that. You walk into metal shop, you see a lathe, and you see a drill, and you see acetylene torches and all this other stuff. And then you smell the metal and the grease and everything. And I was scared shitless because I was a little baby. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to do this. And it just makes me wish that I had actually like picked up the torch and done some, manly things like forge steel. The only thing I ever did was ram a mold of an anchor. And, I don't know where it is now, of course, but it just like in my head, I started thinking, God, I wish I had paid attention because this is so cool. And when I was in 7th grade in Mansfield, I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I'm going to hurt myself. I did drop the mold on my finger and break it, but that's okay. But how does that is that something that they still teach in school? Do you think? Is that a skill that you have to go out and seek out?
Oh God, no, not even where I live out in 6 in PA. I actually do remember, being in school, going to metal shop, and they actually had some forges. I remember twisting a piece of 1/2 inch square rod and making a door knocker for my mother.
Yeah.
But I wish I had stuck with it because I didn't actually get into forging seriously until like my mid-20s.
Wow.
So it was just a hobby that snowballed out of control for me. And I never intended on making knives for a living. I'm still shocked that I do. And then the Forge and Fire thing came along, and it's just, like, wow, okay, how did this happen?
Yeah.
So definitely wasn't planned.
I want to know, do you do any of these strength tests to your own blades at home? And are you one of the ones that comes up with the different strength tests?
Yes and yes. I think that's part of the reason I got the job, because I've been beating the living hell out of my own knives for years. And I'm mostly self-taught. I mean, I didn't apprentice under anybody. I didn't go to school for this or anything. Like I said, it was just a hobby. I was playing around with it and just got bigger and bigger and bigger as I went. And I've mentioned this a couple of times on the show. I don't know if it's ever made the cut, but people talk all the time about, I got a bucket full of failed blades or broken blades in my shop. I don't, because if I had a blade that failed, like cracked during a heat treat or something like that, I'd still take it out. I'd wrap a duct tape handle on it, take it out in the woods and beat the hell out of it just to see what it would do. Because if something that's not the quality I would send out to a customer and it survives, well, I'm going to learn something from that and I'm going to make the next one better. So I didn't waste anything. So yeah, I've got, my Instagram account got hacked a couple of years ago, but Facebook, you can go back years and years back and see me beating the living hell out of knives, because how else do you learn? How else do you know better?
Right.
It's from the edge geometry, the sharpness, the heat treat, to the handle construction, how it feels in your hand. You don't know unless you use it.
What is your favorite object to perform a strength test on? Like,
for the show?
Yeah.
Oh, the ice block. I love the ice block. That's just fun. I mean, I get some snow down the back of my shirt and it's not exactly comfortable, but it's just a fun one.
Garrett, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to ask Garrett what his favorite was, actually.
Oh, yeah, I was going to just that. And how did you get into forging?
So my least favorite is definitely the gong.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was good.
My favorite, I hate to be a bandwagon guy, but I was like the ice block, because it just had that dramatic feel on TV where, if you or Ben was hacking away at it, it goes from a large mass of ice down to very little. Whereas, the terracotta pots and whatever, I feel like there's always an issue with geometry and where you hit it on the pot and X, Y, and Z, how it affects, the outcome. How I got into it was I was a sheet metal worker by trade when I lived in Atlanta, and did welding and custom copper fabrication and stuff like that. And then I moved up and the TV show came out, excuse me, and I was immediately hooked. Season 1, episode 1, watched it. And I'd always liked knives and making my knives really sharp, which, if you notice, is probably the best part about my knife making game. But
yeah, you cut the hell out of that pig, man. My God.
Yeah, I was happy with that. And then so it was really just from watching the show. And then I went through a kind of shitty divorce and breakup in 2019, and my business is really seasonal. So winter of 2019 into spring of 2020 into the Rona, I was down in my basement wailing on hot metal with a hammer, just figuring life out again.
Yeah.
Forging is definitely a therapeutic thing. I was just talking yesterday to Kyle Gahagan, who's one of the guys. He's running a forge for veterans, and God, I can't remember how many people he said they've gone through. There's like 1,000 people going through there a year or more, and it's therapeutic for PTSD and stuff like that. And it's just amazing. I'm assuming other things are like that too, maybe like fly fishing or model building or something like that. But I constantly hear, and I've had plenty of vets in my own shop too. It's just hammering the steel, forging something out of nothing is just you just get into a zone and everything else disappears. That's probably why it looks like some of our smiths are just zoning out on the show too. But
it could also
we don't
be
let
the
that
heat,
last.
right?
We don't let that last long because the cameraman and the clock are right there, and we got the clock. Time getting yelled at them and stuff like that. So we got snapping out every once in a while.
That's what I always wanted to know. Do you guys take bets sometimes when the contestants hit the floor? Who is gonna have to have the EMT come out?
We've actually talked about stuff like that, but because it's a game show, we're legally not allowed to do that. But especially we have there was one episode, actually, again, it hasn't aired yet. I can't talk about it, but yeah, let's just say betting was kind of like one of the conversations we were having, and we were like, okay, I'll give you this if this guy does that and this guy does. I mean, we're just sitting up there guessing. I mean, we really don't know. It's just educated guesses. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched somebody do something on the floor, and I'm like, oh, that's never going to work. And then they pull it out of their ass and it works. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to try that when I get back to Pennsylvania. That was cool. So you never know. I mean, like I said, we just do educated guesses. But as far as actual betting, nah. It would be fun, though. I should call FanDuel or something like that.
I can ask this because I'm a chick, but I want to ask Garrett, when you saw the woman walk out, did you think, I'll make it to round 2 probably?
Oh,
that's harsh.
I'm
Holy
only
cow.
going.
Yeah,
Listen,
you're the only one that could have said that one.
right.
And I'm going to say it because it's true. I've seen one woman make it to the finale. If a woman does win, I'll be like, oh my God, I won't believe it. But I mean, I always think it's impressive when they show up, but I'm like, okay.
Be like me walking in, then you're going to win.
Right.
Well, so here's the thing. We're at the hotel, and then they tell you what time you're getting picked up and brought to set, right? So I came out, and I was wearing the green T-shirt, which I think I have one on now because I had to have multiple shirts. And the girl was in the lobby waiting for the shuttle. And she's like, oh, look at your arms. I'm already going to lose. And it's like, here's the thing. I could just be a big meathead, right?
Yeah.
Like I could have zero skill. I didn't really worry about anybody else. I was a professional MMA fighter, a lifetime ago. So I've dealt with a lot of competition. So the stress of that wasn't really ever an issue. I definitely just didn't want to look stupid. That was the main goal.
Oh, you took care of that, buddy. You didn't.
No.
Not a chance. And look at me. I'm not a big guy. Yeah, I've been swinging a hammer, like I said, over 2 decades. It's not about the size of a person. It's about a lot of it's stamina. That's why we see a lot of, especially when we're shooting the warm weather, but even in the cooler weather, we have people drop out. I mean, just literally fall.
Really?
Get dehydrated. Their face gets totally pale. They stop sweating, and then they just stand there and like stare at a piece of steel. And it's like, okay, he's gonna go down in like 2 minutes. Get over there. So the medic goes over there, and oh geez, I just heard today we gave somebody a heart attack apparently. Didn't realize it till he got back home, but I mean, it's been called an extreme sport, Forge and Fire, because you don't sit back for the weekend knowing you're going to go on the show Monday and drink a case of beer and eat a bunch of pork chops or ribs or something.
Some of the contestants.
There's some health issues involved. There's some cardio involved and stuff like that. Yeah, you gotta have some kind of like, issues with the health and stuff like that. You gotta pay attention to. Hydrate. That's a big thing. Garrett, I know you know that. We kept yelling. Everybody keeps yelling, drink water, hydrate, because it gets hot as hell, especially if the guy's got a forge in front of him and behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drank enough water. I had to take 3 pee breaks during round 1, so I was good.
What is the temperature out there, like in between the forges? Have you guys taken it?
Well, the outside temperature of the forges while they're running is a little above 400 degrees. So, I know Flowers, our safety guy, shoots the thermometer, leaves the thermometer all over the place. So I don't know exactly what the temperature is, but if we got all 4 forges going and close things up, I could wear a t-shirt comfortably in the winter. It gets pretty hot. And especially with COVID, we're even further away from the forges now. And Garrett's a better guy to ask than me about that one.
It was toasty. I was fortunate to be on the end, and it wasn't. I don't know. I did sheet metal roofing, as part of my metal work when I lived in Atlanta. So the roof temperature in Atlanta in July was 160 degrees, and it definitely wasn't that hot.
Oh, that reminds me of roofing in the summer in New Jersey.
It's about the same. Yeah, it's hot and no fun.
So Garrett, are you going to grow a big mustache now that Davey won? You want to get that big thing going?
You know what? I love Davey, and we've been texting the whole time. But nah, I mean, would you cover this pretty face up with the mustache?
It's actually funny. We've seen we got great mustaches, great facial hair on the show, and we've talked about having a mock-up, doing a COVID mask with mustache and beard coming off of it to look like some of the contestants.
Oh, that would be great. Dustin, do you have any questions?
I think we could market that.
Oh yeah, you could.
Well, as far as questions go, I did have some from some of the radios. Some of our listeners, they sent in some questions.
Radios.
Yeah, and they had some questions for you guys. One you've kind of touched on already, but Sean Hall asked, what kind of shop safety speech is given at the beginning of each round or each show? It seems to be a lot of accidental, bleeding and cutting. Is there anything that you guys put forward as, all stops or?
We do a lot of safety talk, protocol. Me and the other judges don't actually talk to the contestants a lot about the safety. That's Flowers, our safety officer guy, pyro guy, does a lot of that. We only get to talk to the contestants for maybe 5 minutes after rules are read, so a lot of that is done outside of us. But yeah, every contestant gets a full tour of the shop, and the basic, don't grind edge up with a slack belt.
Ugh.
Don't grind on the top of the belt 6 feet when you're using the hot wrench, the oxyacetylene torch, between the tanks and the torch, stuff like that. But again, Garrett heard this more recently than I do, so he could probably answer it better.
It was there's a long video they send you before you go in, so you get to watch this 45-minute video, and then when you get there, you get to just kind of reenact the 45-minute video with the safety guy. I think part of it is, and Jay will attest to this, it's one of those things where it's inherently dangerous anyway. You have hot metal and sharp metal, and I think having experienced it and done an episode of the show, you see a lot less of what actually happens. So, there's a number of hours and there's as a contestant, there's a cameraman on you the whole time. And I just know, even with my interviews, I saw 5 minutes of 4 hours of interview, so it was just one of those things where it looks like people aren't being safe. And then anybody who's made a knife has made a mistake and had, a bad day.
We tell people I tell people all the time when they come to my shop too. It's like, you're working with hot steel, sharp steel, grinding belts that are running fast enough. It's almost like gravel on a belt. If any of these ever fallen off a bike or a motorcycle, know what road rash is. And you can imagine what some of those belts and the grinders can do to your fingers, because they're meant to remove steel at high speed. So imagine what they could do to skin and bone. So yeah, it's an inherently dangerous profession. I mean, I joke around all the time. I've been doing this for so long. I still have both eyes and all 10 fingers. So I'm doing pretty good. I know folks that don't.
Yeah. Roby Neely, one of our radios, wanted to know, Garrett, what kind of forge were you using at your home forge? Materials, they didn't show it. Like you said, they probably filmed a lot, but they didn't get to see a lot.
The forge itself, I had actually built my initial forge with just a piece of gas pipe and a welding nipple and a gas regulator. The forge I had at the house, I actually bought not long before they filmed at the house. In the event that I got to that part, I wanted to have something that didn't look like a total amateur, rookie. Tell you what it was something I spent a few $100 on Amazon. Nice. It's just a 2-burner propane forge.
I find that hilarious, Garrett, because I'm still using the homemade forges that I built 20 years ago. and they still look pretty amateur, but they do a damn good job, man.
Do either of you use coal?
No, I started out using coal, and I got smart real quick.
Yeah, it looks difficult.
Yeah. I mean, coal is great. I mean, some folks love it and all that, but when you're coal forging, first of all, at least where I live, anthracite coal is the big thing in Pennsylvania, but you want to use bituminous coal when you're forging knives, when you're, bladesmithing, blacksmithing, anything like that. And that's hard to come by my way. And plus, you can only heat a certain amount of space in the coal forge to be able to move steel. And you spend as much time maintaining the fire as you do actually forging. So I quickly jumped over to propane because I could, have a 16-inch long round forge with an offset intake, and I could heat 16 inches of steel, and I could do that in about, I could get a cold piece of steel up to forging temperature in 5 to 8 minutes.
Wow.
So it's a lot more efficient, especially if you're deciding you're going to try and do this seriously.
Stephanie, anthracite coal is what you get from strip mining, and bituminous is a harder coal. You learn that in Pennsylvania when you're in elementary and high school.
Oh, okay. Well, my dad was a coal miner, Tim. So
that's true, because you're from West Virginia. Duh. Yeah, when I grew up, I lived in a little town called Covington. We say Covington in the north. Down here, they say Covington. And we lived in a trailer along Route 15, which used to be this main highway. Now they have bypasses. But every 5 minutes, there'd be a coal truck going up and down and up and down and up and down from Blossburg to New York State. And it was just coal everywhere. The rivers were all polluted but I think they've stopped doing it as far as I know. They got windmills everywhere when I've gone home.
Yeah, there's windmills all over the place. I took me and my family to Scranton, and we did the coal mine tour where you actually get in the cart and they take you down. And,
wow.
It's a nice sunny day when you get in the cart and you get down there. It's like 40 degrees or 35 degrees or something like that, and pitch black. It's like, no, that's a crappy way to make a living right there.
Yeah. My dad, he spent, 12 hours in waist deep cold water. And he'd come home, you couldn't see anything but the whites of his eyes. He was covered in coal dust. And so was his dad, and so was his dad. It's like a rite of passage. Like every year when he goes and gets his black lung screening and he's got a little bit more black lung, he's like, yeah, because it's more money.
It's funny you mentioned the black lung, because we've got that in knife making too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're not careful, because there's a lot of stuff that we inhale. Especially like different handle materials and stuff like that, some of the synthetics, some of the natural woods. I mean, a lot of the South American woods, you wonder why those trees are so big and so huge, because they produce natural insect repellent oils to protect themselves. And then we take those, chop them up on the bandsaw, that starts burning and we start smelling that stuff. There was one of the early, very popular bladesmiths, Ed Fowler, he used to have black labs, and he'd actually have a couch in his shop. And his lads, they'd come in, they'd hang out, they'd sleep on the couch, and then they started dying off, and it was black lung. They were inhaling all this stuff. They didn't, there was no respirator for the dogs, and they would inhale this stuff. I mean, this was, God, this was probably 30, 40 years ago. It was before I was in making knives, that I remember reading the story. So yeah, it's, aside from the sharp blades, the 2,300 degree fires, the compressed gas, the poisonous woods, poisonous materials, the toxic acrylics, all the glues and epoxies and acetones and oils. Yeah, it's kind of a dangerous hobby.
Whiteout.
That's what I was going to
Whiteout's probably the safest thing we use.
Yeah.
This always seems to be the debate. Like, I'll always hear you guys saying it like, oh, God, why are they putting the whiteout in? Whiteout or no whiteout when it comes to canister Damascus?
I was in a timed competition, and again, I've said this over and over, but, only so many things, don't make it to the cutting floor. If it was a timed competition and I wasn't told I had to remove the can, I wouldn't use the whiteout. I would just forge it out, because by the time, those cans are only about an 1/8 inch thick. So by the time you forge it out, you're going to have reduction in that can anyway. Some of that can's going to burn off. And then by the time you forge it down, it's going to be so thin, and you start grinding it, there's no way that canister is going to be near a knife edge anyway. So just leave it be. But of course, when I got on the forge floor and had to compete, they told you, yes, you have to remove the can. And I'm like, you sons of bitches. I knew you weren't going to make it easy on me. And I'm like the canister guy. That's like my thing. That was, I was the one that pushed canisters when we started Forge and Fire. And now I'm stuck with it. Now I'm screwed.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever let me get away with that.
Now you're like me, and I go to Walmart to buy my machete for my backyard, and I've had it for a couple of years. Now I'm looking at it going, oh, there's some curling on the blade, and and I'm judging it, and I'm looking at the other knives I have, because they're all cheap. And obviously those aren't hand forged, right? Those are made in a factory somehow and molded and just dump the steel in. Is that how they make those?
Oh, pretty much. Yeah. They just, it's all mechanics. It's all, mechanized molds and stuff like that. It's funny, before I got my Mastersmith rating in 2008, the year before that, I went to the Arkansas Knife Show, and a buddy of mine who's been collecting my knives for years, and he's been collecting knives period for years. I specifically went to the show to get my knives critiqued by other Mastersmiths before I went for my test. And I've talked to several different MSs, and they're pointing this out, pointing that out, and my buddy's behind me the whole time. And by the end of the weekend, he's just kind of sitting there shell shocked. And I'm like, what's up? He goes, I'm going home and I'm getting rid of like 80% of the knives I have, because I learned so much. Now I know what I have is crap and what isn't crap. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff. I was like, okay, sorry. Didn't mean to wreck that for you.
Now, Garrett, this goes off to what we were talking about before I brought the cheap Walmart knives up. But do you think you would have had a better chance of your blade surviving that round if you had longer to work on it instead of the 4 days?
No, I think where my planning went awry was the way that handle was shaped, it had to have that 5-inch tail on it.
Yeah.
And in all reality, I had a different plan when my first handle broke, and I was going to do custom molded composite around the steel. It had nothing to do with time, because I was done. Yeah. I had plenty of hours left. I put the first handle on it, and it was fit a certain way. And then when that broke, the next one wasn't going to fit as well the way I had to make it. And I had made the little piece of metal called the tang into the handle, smaller than I wanted to. Yeah, it's the worst when there's not enough tang, it's a bad day.
Yeah, it's been that way for years.
And it was my concern going there, but I figured, it held up okay. It just kind of depended, right? I knew it, at least to me, my saving grace was I always wanted to make it to the final. That was my goal. I'm an amateur. I did this because my son challenged me to do the show. I sent an email in, and a year later, here I am, right? But I did that. I wanted to. I knew hell or high water, if it broke or not, it was going to be sharp. So that was all I really cared about.
There's no doubt about that. That pig was in thirds.
Yeah.
Didn't just cut it in half, cut it in thirds.
That's what I wanted to say. I enjoy the kill test. I love it when you guys use the ballistics dummy because I'm like an animal freak, especially whenever you guys use animals with fur. I'm like, oh God, what are they gonna have fur on or whatever? But what I wanted to know was if I put it in my will that I wanted you guys to use my body in the kill test, would you do it?
Legally, we couldn't.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure we get kicked off the air for that one.
I mean, but would that not be so metal if you had a cadaver?
But to make you feel a little bit better about your furry friends, nothing goes to waste on the show.
Oh, I've done research.
First of all, nothing is killed for the show.
Right.
It's already carcasses, but everything goes to some kind of animal shelter. A lot of it goes to a wolf rescue program. That they come, they take the carcasses and stuff like that. One of the reasons for that is because they're going to release these wolves again, so you can't just keep feeding them kibble and then send them back out into the woods. So they take the leftover carcasses from the tests and use that to rehabilitate the wolves so they can re-release them. And there's a few other ones too, but the wolf one's the big one I know of.
So that's what Doug's doing. He's carving them up. Good for the wolves.
Yeah, Doug's doing Thanksgiving for the wolves.
Are these going into Pennsylvania and New York State?
I think it's mostly New England.
New England.
I think it's more New England area, closer by. That way, you got Maine right there. That's wildlife central for the Northeast right there. So. I don't know exactly where everything goes, but I know it's always going to a purpose. Nothing's getting chucked in the dumpsters, except the ballistic dummies.
Are you a hunter? Do you hunt deer?
I used to when I had time.
Yeah.
I do, deer, turkey, stuff like that. But I wasn't one of these hunters that got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, climbed 10 foot into a tree so I could freeze my ass off for 10 hours.
Yeah.
I'd hunt from the back porch.
Nice.
With a cup of coffee and a book.
That's pretty cool. Here's one.
I live far enough out I could do that. So.
Well, all my whole family, they came from Tioga County, and my grandparents are gone, but my uncle and my cousin live in Coudersport in Potter County, and they're big hunters. So I grew up eating all of the stuff: the deer meat, the wild turkey, squirrels, rabbits, you name it, grouse. But the reason I bring it up is because I was looking at your website, and you have a lot of antler handles, and I was do you find them? Do you have to buy them?
No, I usually get like garbage bags full of antlers dumped on my front step, pretty much every fall.
Okay.
It's just like, Jay will use them, just dump them at his place. I actually don't use a lot of them. A lot of them end up being chew toys for my dogs because I prefer to use sandbar stag, which has like almost no pith in them. They're almost solid. Right. Whereas a lot of the whitetail, by the time you bore out all the pith, you got very thin walls and stuff like that. I mean, I do still use whitetail on occasion, but yeah, mostly it's sandbar.
Cool. Dustin, you got anything else? I hate.
Let's see. One more for Garrett. Matthew Howard wanted to know what was the process of going through wardrobe, hair, and makeup, or was there one? And how much sitting around did you do?
The wardrobe was don't wear this, don't wear this, don't wear this, and bring 3. Hair was me doing my hair in the hotel in the morning, and makeup was a fine producer that your handler, as it be, Anna would take your cell phone in the morning, give you a little lock it in a plastic bag, and then give you a little powder on your forehead. And then the sound guy would come out and you put a face shield on and they'd put a mic on you.
That was that pervert Eric.
Yes, he got a little handsy with me.
Yeah.
I
There's a
told him
running joke on the set.
I told him I dressed left, and he told me to go left. And, I didn't know that's how they checked in seams anymore. But then sitting around, I'm gonna tell you this. Probably my least favorite part of the entire experience was how much sitting around there was. And I know Hollywood, so your TV is a lot of hurry up and wait. I think with COVID, me and the other contestants were not able to hang out together at all. So we were in basically a glorified porta potty with little 5x8 cells lined up, one next to the next, and you could talk through the door. So like I of course was sitting there singing, Spaceballs, Nobody Knows the Trouble I Seen to the guy Davey next to me. But the sitting around was probably my least favorite part.
I completely agree.
Oh man!
Hey, you're allowed to have a cell phone, Jay. You didn't get locked in that room with no outside communication.
There's no worries of me looking up, different weapons and steel and stuff like that. So sorry, it's the game show concept, but yeah, even with a cell phone, that's still. I mean, that's another thing, especially this past year. With the COVID, the Smiths have been so great about, because we used to wander around. I mean, we didn't hang out with the contestants during the competitions, obviously. But, afterwards we'd hang out, we'd chit chat, we'd take pictures, we'd talk about, the challenges and what happened and stuff like that. I used to be able to like roam around, talk to the camera folks, the audio guys, everybody, and the COVID just really put a cramp on a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I do get a cell phone, but yeah, I'm stuck in a cubicle too most of the day, and it's very, very aggravating. I used to go on, days we had off, I'd go on the set and I'd make knives. I'd forge out knives, grind them, heat treat them, do stuff like that. I actually had a little thing, knives made on set, and I can't do that anymore because of the COVID.
That stinks.
Now, you guys, as far as the knives that are there, what's the everybody has to turn theirs in at the end of the show? Is that something that is there a reason that all of them are kept, and are they kept on display?
The network keeps everything. The only thing they don't keep is the finale runner-up gets their blade back, and that didn't start until I think after season 3. Just because, folks are taking so much time out of their own lives, especially, if this is part of their livelihood. I mean, they're taking so much time out, and to go through all that and all the traveling and the stress and the time to walk away with nothing, at least give them their piece back, and keep it as a memorial. They can fix it, they can resell it, do whatever you want with it. But at least give them something. I mean, just getting to the final round is really, something else right there.
Garrett, where's yours?
I'm waiting for it to come back.
Are you going to fix it? Are you going to fix it, weld it together?
I have the one I built for practice, so I don't know. I was thinking of putting that one in a shadow box and leaving the handle, because what you guys didn't see is Dave Baker. He's sitting there, he's holding my handle, and it was the wire wrap, looked like a spring.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the pieces that did make it to TV was Dave said, "It looks like I just hit the blade eject button on it," right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I might just build a shadow box and put it in, but at the same time, I kind of want to put it back into a functional state, because I'm pretty proud of it and I want to see it in a piece, but I don't think it'll be used. Like the practice one I have, I go out and wail away on stuff all the time.
Nice.
I could definitely see that. Just redo it and just make it a display piece for yourself. I mean, it was an incredible piece. I mean, that was a tricky build too, with that crazy handle and everything like that. And it was sharp as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost cut the pig in half with the first swipe.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Doug had to find new spots to chop.
Yeah. Garrett, did you get a lot of women hitting you up after you said you were single?
No, and my girlfriend now,
Oh,
who I was not dating at the time of the filming of the Fallon Alley, I said a lot of stuff that they didn't show.
uh-huh.
And I make it to the end and I'm watching it. We're at my mom's house. My mom's boyfriend's there. My son's there. My girlfriend. Make it through the whole episode. I haven't said anything stupid. I mean, multiple times they asked me what I was going to do with the money. And they were like, I said, strip club, cocaine and hookers, X, Y, and Z. So like any of the dumb stuff I could have said, they leave out.
Yeah.
And then that flash comes up at the end. The last thing they see, ladies, I'm single, hit me up. Yeah. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Thank you so no, I'm not single, and no ladies have hit me up.
Oh man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh yeah. And I just
I'm not in
Puerto Rico
editing, Garrett. Sorry, I'm not in editing.
Nope.
Hey Jay, I blame you not. Is just like we had just gotten back from Puerto Rico like 10 days ago, so we were there for a week. Came back, great vacation, all this shit. Things are going great. Planning St. Patrick's Day, sitting on the couch with my parents, and it's like, oh shit, right? Like the one thing that had to come out. So like immediately, Facebook, thank you for the support. No, I'm not single.
Yeah. In a relationship.
Yeah, she's gonna make you her own T-shirt for you.
Yeah, I'm a short leash, boys. Short leash.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Steph, do you have any more questions?
You just wait, buddy.
Yeah.
My wife did the filming and audio for the Home Forge episode we did, and that was a riot because I remember the very first episode of Forge of Fire ever airing. We were actually on vacation in Cocoa Beach, and my wife was never cared about what I did. She's been a nurse for 30 plus years. She does anesthesia in the OR now. I make knives. She doesn't care about that. So we're watching the very first episode, and it's funny. Like 10 minutes into it, she's like, looks at me. She goes, "You do that?" Yeah. Like 10 minutes later, "You do that too?" "Yeah, it's damn near every freaking day."
Come out to the Forge and watch.
I'm glad you're. Oh, this is. I had to get on a TV show for her to realize what I did for a living.
That's awesome.
That sounds about right.
My poor wife has to hear me every morning from the bedroom do the radio show that I'm on. So she knows what I do. Loud.
If I was going to ask one more thing is the new host, he's great. He's great. But will we ever see Will Willis again, do you think?
No.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Will's a great guy. I love him to death. But, he's basically like in a new phase of his life. He's got two kids that are older. They're like, I think 18 and 20 from a long time ago. And he's got his new wife, and her family are in California. California is where Will's from. And they have a new baby and stuff like that. So just, being away, from family, from the baby and stuff like that, that's just too much. I could totally understand that. So yeah, no, I don't think Will's going to be coming back.
Aw.
But I'm sure we'll see him in something else.
I mean, the new guy's great. It's just you guys had such chemistry with Will, and he just got so pumped.
Oh yeah, well, we'll get us all pumped up. And one of Will's favorite things, and he'll tell you right off the bat, it was pitting us judges against each other.
Nice.
He'd ask a question, then he had somebody else to question. They're like, "Yeah, well, okay, well, he said this, but you said this. Wait, how does this make sense?" And, he was always trying to dig down for like the root of the explanation of, like why somebody was doing something a certain way or why we judge things a certain way. And he was great at that. But yeah, Will's definitely missed. Grady's a great guy and all that. Love Grady to death. I think he'll do just fine. But yeah, Will was a blast.
When I see that poster behind you, Jay, and it's some really cool horror film. So I'm assuming you're a fan of horror movies. Huge horror fan.
Have you? That was actually a Christmas gift from my wife that It's Valeria. God, I can't remember it. She's on Instagram. She's a tattoo artist in Indiana, and she does artwork too. And my wife commissioned that, and I just commissioned the second one because she does fantastic work. If anybody's interested, just contact me. I'll give you a contact info.
Have you made any like I'm looking at Freddy Krueger, and I got to know, have you ever made the glove?
No, but sometime this week, mine should be arriving from the gentleman who makes the Freddy Krueger glove.
Oh, no way. Who makes the Freddy Krueger glove?
Oh yeah, he's it's Nightmare Gloves on Instagram.
Okay.
And yeah, he does movie gloves, and yeah, it's funny. I'm because Doug and I are talking about trying to do some kind of like YouTube page and interviewing craftspeople, and I just found out the guy that's doing my Freddy glove only lives like 2.5 hours away from me.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, he's on the list. Gotta get him.
Sounds like pilot
Because
material.
I always thought about making a Freddy glove. I thought it'd be awesome, and then he popped up and he goes, "I'd be glad to make you one." I'm like, okay, definitely. I'll probably never take the thing off.
I got grounded.
I just want a picture of me sitting at the judge's table doing this.
Oh yeah.
On the table with the claws.
I made one out of my mom's steak knife set and an old glove, and I wore it to school, in high school, as Freddy Krueger. And I made it till about noon before the principal said, "Can you go put that in your locker?" They didn't take it away from me either, but it was 4 steak knives on a glove. And I'm like, hey, I'm Freddy Krueger, walking around in school all day with that. Another thing you would never be able to do now. But
yeah, nowadays they'd call up SWAT team.
Yeah. But when we were kids had guns in the back of their trucks that they parked out of the school.
Yeah, I still have the butterfly knife I used to carry in high school.
Oh, that's cool. Did you?
That was back in the day. That was quite a while ago.
You buy it at a mall?
I'm 51 years old now, so flea market.
Flea market.
Jersey. Yeah, Jersey flea markets. Gotta love them.
Flea market. Best place to get knives is flea market.
Yep.
When you're a kid.
And Ninja Stars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I used to make Ninja Stars. My grandfather was an electrician. So not only did we ruin all of his copper all the time, take the copper, wrap this copper around the nail and waste all of his materials. We would take his sheet metal and cut Ninja Stars out of it and then sharpen them with his files and then throw them at each other. No one ever got hurt, but sometimes you get one in your arm. But that was during you remember in the early 80s when there was that Lee Van Cleef show, American Ninja with Tim Van Patten.
That's like the horror movies behind me. I skipped right ahead of. I had a few throwing stars when I was a kid, but I skipped right ahead and started throwing circular saw blades. So I saw the movie. I was like, "That looks awesome. Let's try that." I know those are laying around the garage.
What can we look forward to on the rest of this season 8?
Ooh, that
you can
only gets more painful.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, seriously, if you wanted the easy show, season 1 or 2, we've got some definite challenges. Actually, there's something right here on the other side of my phone that I'm bringing in tomorrow.
Oh.
We're gonna do a few more. I'm assuming we're gonna do a few more like from the mind of Jay Neilson or from the mind of Dave Baker and yada yada yada, stuff like that. And then we've got a few different challenges, not just, finding your steel or rating this car or something like that. We're taking a few of the other aspects of the knife making and making that the challenge, not just the steel. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff coming up, and I'm sure I'll get more hate mail over it.
Yeah, if somebody takes the time to write a letter and put a stamp on it, they're mad because now you don't have to do that now.
Yeah, no, usually if I get a written letter, it's from a kid, sometimes in other countries.
Really?
And I didn't even know kids knew how to write letters and use stamps. That was a learning thing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten letters from kids all over the country, and I've gotten emails and such from parents that have thanked me for being a part of the show because their kids got into it. It's actually a show the whole family watches together, and they're spending more time with their kids because they're spending weekends in the garage or in the backyard making knives with their kids, as opposed to the kids being on the computer or video games.
Yep.
And that's that's fantastic. You know, having children of my own, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Like, could they ever do like a Forge Junior?
I've been pushing that since season 2, and they keep saying that for, you know, because of the cash prize and insurance reasons, they can't. But I keep coming back with, well, I can turn on the TV almost any time of the day and see Chop Junior. What's the difference?
Right.
They're working with knives. They're working with gas. They're working with fire. What's the difference? But
Maybe
yeah,
you had a network.
Yeah, I can only do so much. Yeah.
Maybe if they were putting a brisket in there in the Forge, you could get it on Food Network.
Don't think Smiths don't cook their lunch over top of their forges. Sometimes there's some Smiths I've seen that have little grills.
Nice.
Right attached to the top of the forge. They can actually throw something on there and let the residual heat coming out cook their lunch.
It will grill.
It will grill. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's the next George Foreman.
Yes.
We got it.
Jay,
That's a good idea. We can make that. We can do a combo, forging oven and grill.
Oh, I'm getting licensing on that.
You grab it, buddy. Run with it while you can before they come up with another set of Forge and Fire kitchen knives or some crap.
They have by the way, your show is inspiring other shows. That Tim Allen, what's his name? Jay Karn show. That's pretty much what you guys do, only it's make a doghouse. But I mean, it's not the same, but it's the same.
No. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you notice, when they show the little clips on the bottom of that show while Forge and Fire is running, it says next episode Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Because apparently we kill shows.
Nice.
There was Knife for Death made it through 2 seasons. Then there was the Butcher show, where it was almost the same as ours. They were carving up animals and stuff like that. That made it like 1 season. There was something else after that. So yeah, basically any show that follows us is death.
And Night for Death
and like
was
I
good.
said, we were only supposed to be filler. We weren't supposed to be a hit. So
well, it's a hit.
It's smart. Yeah, do your initial episode after Forge of Fire and then move to another night. Yeah.
So last question about Towanda. How often do you eat at Papa V's? Now, no one's going to know that but me and Jeff, and he's not on. But Papa V's was a pizza place. It started in Towanda. There was one in our town. The same guy owned it. We called it Papa Five. I miss that pizza like you wouldn't believe. So I wondered if you go there.
I've been there a few times, but there was a restaurant that opened up right over the bridge in Wysocks called Oliver's.
Okay.
And that's a pretty good place.
All right.
And OIP is pretty good too. So yeah, we have Papa V's every once in a while, but yeah, we actually gotten fancy. We got like more than one restaurant in Towanda now. So
fancy with Arby's.
We're like, no Arby's. Oh God, the A&W root beer is gone too.
Oh, I missed that place. I loved A&W.
Yeah, you used to have the drive-in right behind it.
Is Shunk near Towanda?
Sounds familiar, but I don't know where it is.
We always stopped there on the way to Camp Brûlée when we would go camping in Boy Scouts. It's near. Okay. I guess it's in Bradford County. I wish Jeff would jump on so he would know. But God, my grandparents lived in Millerton, if you've ever heard of that, which is near Gillett.
Okay, Gillett. Yeah, I know Gillett.
A lot of weird.
My wife would probably know because her son was in Boy Scouts up there too. But yeah, he's in Texas right now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, do you have any other questions, Steph?
I don't want to keep them on here all night. I just wanted to say how much I enjoy the twinkle in your eyes.
Yeah.
Whenever you say to the contestants, "Are you ready?" and they, no matter what they say, your response is always perfect.
Yep.
It's just like the T-shirts I have. We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
I actually got to say that today.
It was cool because I asked Garrett, which judge should I reach out to? Because I didn't know if we'd be able to get anybody. We would, Garrett reached out to us. He heard us talking about the show. Hey, I'm going to be on it. I can't tell you when. Here's what I can't tell you any of the details, And I said, who should I reach out to? And he suggested you. And I was nervous. I was like, oh, I don't want to bother this guy on Instagram, but I did it anyway. So I'm glad that I did because this has been a lot of fun, man. And
I'm not the mean bastard everybody thinks I am.
No, but you presented that way. And that
may I say, I apologize. Sorry for interrupting, but that was the one thing. I came in, and Jay, after years of watching the show, always looks like a prick. And like, he is the most personable of the three judges. And, you know, I know it's COVID and all the interactions are very limited, but like, I mean, he was the one guy that's like, oh yeah, man, like cracking jokes. Like I was very surprised, Jay. I always thought you were just a stone cold prick.
Oof.
And I really enjoyed being
That's
around
okay.
you.
My ex-wife still thinks that.
Oh.
No, I take the show seriously. I mean, you know, they didn't hire me for my comedic timing. You know, they hired me to, you know, try to guess what was going on, describe it, and evaluate things. So, I mean, I take that seriously. I don't try. I mean, Garrett probably tell you when we, you know, had our little talk, you know, after the safety meeting and after the rules. What was the first thing I said, Garrett?
Fuck, you think I remember?
Yeah,
Have fun.
My one piece of advice: don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Exactly.
It's the first thing I say to everybody, and I know exactly how that is because I did it when I did Beat the Judges. I screwed up plenty. But I try to lighten the mood because, you know, Dave will do his old talk, Doug will do his old talk, and you know, everybody's all tense and nervous because we're about to start and everything's getting real. And then I try to break the mood a little bit, lighten the load a little bit. So yeah, I come off, you know, like a, you know, standard Pennsylvania jackass.
Yeah.
And everybody has a few laughs and hopefully, you know, tones down things a little bit and uses a little bit of nerves.
Jeff, in terms of, sorry, Jeff just asked, I have not been invited back yet. Would I love to go back? Yes, it's a question of timing. I'm a business owner, so it's one of those things where, unfortunately, from now until September, the time it takes to film, I make a lot more money in a week than I would winning the show. So,
Whoa.
But if you do want to come back, stay on your producers because we love seeing redemption episodes where folks come back and kick ass.
I'm totally open to it. I would love to stay on my producers. I don't know who my producers are. I'm not famous like you, man. Just
go back on your emails or your phone and just scroll
text
back.
somebody randomly. I'm just gonna start sending random emails.
I'll give you all their numbers.
I love the redemption episodes. Those
Dude,
are great.
I'd love to see you come back. That'd be great.
I love those.
Yeah. If I come back, I'm putting a W on it, and everybody, you know, snapping necks and cashing checks. So
I have a question, if you guys don't mind, for one more minute.
Sure.
I got a question for Garrett. What are you working on now, bud?
Right now, working on Lesson of a Beer Gut. My work season is starting.
All doing that.
Yeah.
No, I own a dog fence company. So I install dog fences and sell and train dogs and blah, blah, blah.
Is that the invisible fence?
My brand is Dog Watch. I'm the owner of Dog Watch of the Ocean State in Rhode Island. But yes, invisible fence.
Oh, it's like that.
So,
okay, cool. Yeah, we got that.
So currently, after I killed my truck last week, so today I bought a truck. After I have to return my rental truck tomorrow, and then I'm working, you know, the next 6 months straight. Because I'm too cheap to pay for full-time help and health benefits. So, project-wise, I came back. I did a couple of, I don't know, I call them short swords, probably like 17-inch Wakazashis.
Nice.
I'm going to clean up the practice blade I made. I sent Davey a knife. So what we did is I bet him, we made a gentleman's wager. So I actually took some of the leftover steel I had from the Pura I sent to competition, and I made him a little Tonto with actually leftover handle material. So everything from the blade I sent him was from the material from the finale, as a trade out, and then he's sending me another one. I go in spurts. I'll go down in the shop for a week and make, 10 blades, and then kind of work on handle materials. And then I'll take a break. I won't touch anything for like a month, and then I'll go back down and hammer them out.
Yeah, you and Davey should talk about doing a collaboration. That'd be cool.
I'll get on it. He's in the Ozarks, man. That's a long way to travel.
No. You mail it back and forth. Jeez, you don't have to travel.
I meant to ask, I saw your dog when you were at your home forge. What a beauty. What's that pup's name?
Which
That's
one?
Rogue. So
Looks like a big
Rogue
black
is
Oh,
lab.
him. Oh, sorry.
Rogue is my female 5-year-old female black lab, and then I have Uno, which is her daughter that's 9 months old, and then I have my girlfriend has 2 Japanese chin rescues. So Gilbert has no eyes, and Archie has a mechanically rebuilt leg.
Oh,
So the 4 dogs we have.
Oh. Would you have dogs too, Jay?
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking about the home forge thing. Yeah, I had my dogs roaming around. I had a Great Pyrenees and a boxer that passed.
Oh,
Yeah, she was. So it's kind of like, my wife bought the episode of the home forge because the boxer Jasmine shows up a couple times in there. Like, she walks in the shop, looks at me, looks at the camera, and says, "Oh, I don't like this shit. I'm out of here." So yeah, but we got another rescue after her. So yeah, we got dogs too. That's why I was interested when Garrett was talking about the dog fence thing, to being out in the sticks, because the same time I went through wrist surgery, my dogs decided they wanted to play with a bear, and the bear didn't want to play back. So
How far are you from Lancaster?
far.
From like 3 hours or something like that, I think.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
my buddy, a good friend of mine's the dealer, and he's based out of Lancaster because you're too far for me to get out there. Otherwise, I'd hook you up.
Oh man, it's great. I love my dog fence. We got that after that happened. Like I said, my Great Pyrenees lost a lung because she got tossed off a cliff by the bear,
Oh,
and my boxer broke her leg, got her leg broken. And it's funny, it was her right front, which is exactly with me. So we spent the summer in matching casts, which was kind of weird. But yep, since I had the dog fence, not a problem ever. Fantastic. One of the best things I ever invested money in.
wonder if the Amish down there have a forge, if they do all that together. Like,
Probably,
make
but I don't think we can get them on TV.
no.
I know that Tim, I do know they have dog fences because my buddy who's the dealer down there, he puts fences in for the Amish. They've kind of learned.
Nice.
They start cheating now. They have big
Oh, they
fences.
hide TVs in their barns. I lived down there. I worked at a Unimart. If you're in Pennsylvania, you've seen a Unimart, and I would work overnights. And so at 2:00 in the morning, the college kids would come in and puke everywhere. And then at 4, the van driven by the Mennonite would come up with the Amish, and they would just tell me dirty jokes and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee with me all morning. They're the pious ones, yeah.
Oh yeah,
This
gotta
is
love the hypocrisy.
Yes.
they're human. We're all human.
Yep.
This has been one of my favorite episodes of our show, man. And Garrett, thank you for letting us know you're on the show. And
Yes,
Jay,
dude.
Jay, it's so awesome having you on, man. We're like obviously huge fans now, and you're
I
such a
appreciate it.
down to earth guy and fun to talk to. And
Yeah, I'm not as big a prick as Garrett thought I was.
I want you to
No,
I want you to promote your website where people can check out your work and also your Instagram.
Oh, it's just mountainhollow.net. Basically, just type in J.Neilson because it's just J period. It's not Jay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I type that into Google and pretty much everything pops right up. But yeah, Instagram's J Neilson Knives. Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find nowadays. It's kind of hard to hide from the law anymore.
The knives on your site are beautiful, by the way. I was looking at them.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll get one for my uncle for Christmas. Maybe I won't, but they're beautiful.
Which Christmas?
yeah.
I don't think he lived long enough for me to get one. Maybe if if radio, the growing business that it is, if it starts paying more, we'll see.
Well, when you decide to take a trip to Mansfield and visit the old stomping grounds, let me know.
I'm going to come over and see your place if I go up there because it's not far at all. And
No, it's not.
and I want to come see it. So I'll make sure it's open and hopefully you'll be there. I'm not just going to go, hey, I had your husband on my show.
Yeah, my wife won't know.
Okay.
She'll be like, "What?"
What show? I don't even know what he does. He likes horror movies. I know that.
I just want to say this was such a treat for me. And unlike Garrett, like I haven't been watching this since season 1. My husband and I just kind of discovered it during COVID. I knew it was around, but I never really watched it. You know, I watch baking shows. That's really the height of my competition, which I love. You like baking shows?
Actually, that's one of the reasons they talked me into this, because our show is actually based off of Chopped.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
It's the same person who started Chopped, started Forge and Fire, and it's if you look at it, basically the same concept. So
True.
that's when I was on the phone and they're like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing a knife forging show on TV," and I was like, "Yeah. Who is this?" Because I figured it was one of my buddy's wiser girlfriends. They're just pulling my leg or something like that. And then they mentioned, the fact that the show was based on Chopped. I was like, hey, me and my wife love Chopped. I watch it all the time. So yeah, that's one of the ways they roped me in. Of course, I haven't gotten any good food out of the show, but
Can't even take home a pig.
no.
It goes the wolves, Tim.
I know. No.
Well, just the concept of it. But anyway, we discovered it during COVID and it was on Netflix. And then that was it.
Yep.
As soon as we started watching it, then it was like every morning when we were having coffee before work, when you would get home after dinner, throw on Forge. It's like we watched everything they had in Netflix and then we moved to Hulu. And, I think we're pretty much caught up now and up until now we're watching it as it airs or whatever. But
right.
we've had
Oh,
just
cool.
the
That's
best
great.
time. I love seeing all the different swords and it is like watching a baking show or a show like that. The creative stuff, what people come up with,
Yeah.
their backstories, all of it.
Yeah, it's a craft. It's a skill that a lot of people don't have, and it's great to see that it still exists.
And it's growing more and more because of it.
Right. Garrett, do you have anything you want to plug?
Feel free to check out my Instagram. It's mostly just pictures of me and my dogs, but that's Garrett Kemble. And then I do have an Instagram for Kemble Custom Knives, obviously with the C, even though the phonetics sound a little funky. And that's Kemble, Kemble, Custom Knives on Instagram.
Thank you again. Hope you guys much success.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank
Let's
you
do it
so
again
much.
sometime.
Yeah, please,
All right.
please.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right. Steph, tell us about barkville.org.
Actually, we had some good big news this week. We had, you guys have heard of Barstool Sports.
I have
take it?
Dave
Portnoy?
Yeah.
El Presidento.
He's been giving away a lot of money to small businesses and stuff like that during the pandemic that have been suffering.
Mhm.
And one of our volunteers, Roy Podolin, he wrote him, told him about our rescue, told him that we missed out on one of our biggest fundraisers this year, which was the Valentine's Day Gala. That's where we make our nut, 35,000 grand. It's usually where we get it, and that keeps us going for many months. And Dave Portnoy is cutting us a check, man.
Nice.
So we're getting a nice big fat check from Barstool Sports.
Can you believe people hate him?
I don't know why.
I don't either. We're not going to get into it, but
anyway,
said that, but he's awesome, and I love the stuff he's been doing all year long.
Yeah. So
congrats on that.
Yeah. So that was really cool that's coming through. Between Jeff submitting us for the other whenever HQ, and they we've got like $3,000 from that. So yeah, people just knowing about Barkville and reaching out and asking for help has really kept us hopping along. So anyway, but yeah, that's our big news this week. And Tommy, they sent him to another foster, but he was too much of a rebel rouser, so he went back to the other foster.
Oh boy.
I feel like this lady's gonna end up adopting him just because he does so well with her 2 dogs that are roustabouts.
Mhm.
And Tommy's a wild card. He really is. So, but he looks happy. I'll have to send you guys the pictures of him now. He's so big. But yeah, I'm still not fostering. But if you are interested in fostering right now or adopting a dog or donating your time or your money, please go to barkvilledogrescue.org. Woof.
Woof. Pretty soon we'll be speaking to a return guest. He's a comic book illustrator and an actor and an all-around cool guy. His name is Brian Silverbacks. We're going to have him back on the show soon to talk about some stuff he's working on. Spider-Man, Black Adam, which is in the DC. So he's DC in it and Marvel in it. And we're going to find out all about that. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you want to recommend a guest, or if you're a cool niche business in the Atlanta area and you want to come on the show, hit us up. All right. How about that? Hello? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Tim, I like your idea. I want to do something about this dark side of the ring business. I'd really like to get those guys on there.
I agree. So I'll get over my, a lot of my reticence to do it is because when I was on the regular guys, I had to beg and beg and beg. And I was one of those people that always like, hey, you want to come on our show? And now I always feel weird asking. So I'll get over it and just start asking.
Well, yeah, but when you were asking for people to come on that show, you never knew if they were going to get treated like shit or not.
That's true. Well, I'm worried sometimes Dustin goes off the rails with his
I can't help it.
crazy ass questions.
I just don't like people. That's my problem.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We all pretend. All right. So until next week, enjoy this weekend's show as much as we did. I hope you did. And keep it canon.
Keep it canon.
Keep it canon.
Cannon.
It will canon.